talents.
Yeah, and talking winning as many games as possible now for him, we have starting to get into the other game in a moment, which has got Sh4dowmoon, who may be the start of a long career.
I cannot wait to see this game. Sh4dowmoon again, 13 years old, going around the floor, beating everyone. I'll repeat, there he is. I'll repeat this story briefly. Cora walked past him and said to him yesterday, aren't you 3-0? And he was like, no, I'm 4-0 now. I just 3-0'd my last opponent.
Yeah, and that's pretty ridiculous. So he is now, I believe, I don't have the score, is he 5-2?
Yeah, he's 5-2, that's right.
5-2 against Chris is also 5-2, Chrisleblanc, who won the Swiss in Atlanta before falling victim to the curse of the #1 seed. The curse I don't believe in.
Don't tell Terrence that there's a curse.
Chris is indeed 1-0 up here. We can see Sh4dowmoon has lost his Paladin, but still has Priest and Warrior remaining. And it's basically a mirror match, except Chrisleblanc has got his Paladin remaining as well. Oddly enough, people have banned Druid in this match.
That is suspicious. That is something I have not seen all weekend, Neil.
We're running out of ways to word it.
With as much sarcasm as possible. Yeah, we are about to jump into what will be game number 2 of this series. Again, as Lorinda just said, unfortunately, there has been a Paladin knocked out already. But still a long way to go this series. A lot that can happen. Let's jump in right now.
It's going to be Pirate Warrior versus Pirate Warrior. So Chris actually must have won with his Pirate versus the Paladin.
Yeah.
That's quite a big deal because Paladin can win that matchup quite well. So Pirate mirror match, you get the feeling this is an important one. Obviously, nothing is over until the Priests have come to play. But Pirates versus Pirates, a big deal to win mirror matches in Last Hero Standing.
We haven't seen too many of these mirror matches over the course of this tournament so far. Pirate Warrior mirror matches was something that was very, very common over the last few months, which is a good thing because it means we still know how to cast them because very little has changed.
You say that as if I knew how to cast them in the first place. I admire your confidence in your co-caster, and I appreciate it. All right, so Sh4dowmoon in a great spot here. Plenty of options, even on turn 1, because of that captain in hand to work out how he wants to plan this all out. So many pirates to go with it, and obviously the upgrade option.
Yeah, this might actually be one of those games where you have to upgrade on turn 1 and start hitting things. A N'Zoth's first mate would be infinitely nicer, but Sh4dowmoon goes for it. Next turn, yeah, coining out Sassy Captain, as you were saying, getting that 2/2 patches. That does seem invaluable.
And that seems to be where he's going. Obviously, by keeping the coin, you maintain that flexibility in case you decide to change your mind. But that looks like the way to make this next turn, especially now. Although with Chris passing, Sh4dowmoon has to work out how he wants to deal with frothing berserkers on the next turn and cultists. If you miss turn 2, your opponent usually has one of those 3 drops in their hand. Yeah,
and so Sh4dowmoon's doing it a little bit differently. Going to just put as much pressure on the board as possible. Weapon hits that.
Yep.
Chrisleblanc almost put down that Sassy Deccan last turn and decided not to. If he did, I think that Sh4dowmoon would have gone for the captain, used the weapon to deal with the 2/1 and the 2/2 patches to deal with the 1/1. But because Chrisleblanc has played it this way, now all he's got is the deckhand this turn. That's it, and then armor up. And that feels like a weak turn 3 in this mirror match.
Yeah, double Spellbreaker, by the way. That's one of the talking points of this particular tournament.
Yep.
How much do you do that? And with the amount of Paladin about, and that's probably how he beat the Paladin, actually, double Spellbreaker just destroys all those buffs. Would you say Sh4dowmoon looks in the slightest bit nervous?
Nope.
A little bit uncomfortable with the headphones or something, but doesn't actually look nervous.
He looks focused.
Yep. Just looks like he belongs there from the start.
But he does look like he belongs there. Yeah, I couldn't put it better myself. He definitely... He looks confident.
Yeah, he really does, and that's the way to be. No fear. See if he can get it done. Got a lot of damage coming through here.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Chrisleblanc to get himself back onto this board. Bitterside Hydra, just an instant play there, but Sh4dowmoon can just come back with his own Hydra. He's got a lot of damage already.
I think he can just ignore the Hydra as an option and play the Arcanite Reaper.
Just smack the face a bunch.
Face for 12 with Leroy in hand and Arcanite up.
Yep. And every trade that Bittertide Hydra makes deals 3 more damage to Chrisleblanc's face.
Because Leroy and Arcanite, the second swing is 11. You stick Chrisleblanc down to 8 if you make that play this turn. I don't know how he stops you. You've got to check you're not going to die, I guess, but you're not.
Sh4dowmoon is doing the maths. He's focusing and ready to do it. He's making the play you described. He's just going to ignore the Hydra, smack the face. And yeah, Chrisleblanc's down to 8. He can't trade with the Hydra because he takes too much damage. Oh, he can silence it and then trade with the Hydra. Not
going to matter. Sh4dowmoon's going to do like 1 million damage, and it's going to be 1 game all.
Wow. Bottom right buddy, Chrisleblanc, as Sh4dowmoon just double checking the maths. Smacks the face for, as you said, 1 million. That seems accurate enough to me. And game number 2 of this series goes to Sh4dowmoon, tying up the series. He's now got Pirate Warrior and Priest remaining versus, I think it's Warrior and Priest on the other side as well.
Yeah, it is. It's now a best of 3 mirror, last hero standing.
Oh, no, sorry. Chrisleblanc has the Paladin.
Of course. I just made the mistake of trusting you, Dan.
Yeah, he just actually lost with the Warrior, so I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'll start calling you Nox.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time today.
Thanks, Cora. Okay,
Thank you, Cora.
Both priests still remaining. That is obviously important. We can't emphasize it enough, although we emphasize it a lot. People do drop in and out of the stream to see what's happening. Priest still the dominant force in this tournament.
Priest still pretty good. Okay, and it's going to be the Warrior versus the Paladin on the other side. Now, you mentioned that it was important that Sh4dowmoon lost this matchup before because the Paladin can win. So actually, you could make the argument that Chrisleblanc is in a very good position in terms of this series at the moment. Yeah,
he's trying to protect his Priest here, get it done with the Paladin. The Priest can just sometimes lose to Pirates. It is favoured against the Pirates, I want to stress that, but you know, the Pirates has a decent enough win rate to make it one of the things you don't want to play against the Priest, because you beat other things by even more.
Yes, we've seen over and over again throughout this tournament people queuing Paladins into Pirate Warriors instead of the Priest, actually losing with the Paladin and then winning the matchup with the Priest, but it just being because they want to hold the Priest back and play it last. Sh4dowmoon looks like he's in a good spot again here. You can just play the Bloodcell Raider, smack the weapon into the 2-4, and yeah, he just got a 5-3 on there, but didn't even need to use the weapon. Of course, patches came out.
Cold Light Seer. I've seen people saying that this won't be used to replace Murloc War Leader because it's not good enough in the current meta, so why would you start playing it? Chrisleblanc's still playing it.
In the current meta,
in the
where
current
War Leader
meta
exists.
Yeah, where War Leader exists, he's playing it anyway. News from the floor. Muzzy has won 3-1. He is now 6-2. One more win and he will be in the top 16. Can we get at Muzzy's LA final?
Oh, there you go. It got pretty dicey with Muzzy earlier, but he was able to sweep with the Priest deck. We are getting closer and closer to that dream final that I think everyone at home wants to see.
Yeah, unlike the casters who are not biased at all and are calling the event straight down the middle. All right, Chrisleblanc playing a very aggressive version of this, actually. We saw the Grimscale Chums in this deck, and the Seers as well, very Murloc-ified. The advantages are you get the synergy more often. The disadvantages are you do miss out on some of the better cards, if you like.
Sh4dowmoon running Phantom Freebooter. Sorry to interrupt you there, Neil, but... Okay, so it's going to be a 4 and a 7-4, I believe, if it comes down right now. The weapon can then clear up the minion. I mean, I play it here.
Yeah, seems good.
Sassy Captain seems very good too, though. That's the problem. It's actually spoiled for choice.
See what he chooses to go with. I haven't played much Freebooter, so I haven't got a feel for how things go to pieces when what's bad about it. Must note as well with Chris, we said this is an aggressive build, just totally overlooking this Divine Favor that's going to draw cards against Pirates. That's how aggressive it is. You've got less cards in your hand than Pirates, to the point where your Divine Favor is going to draw you 3 or 4 cards.
Right.
So that's a really aggressive build. This is the sort of build that doesn't always play Tyrion that I was talking to Nox about yesterday. Like, he's like, well, you always play Tyrion, and you're like, no, you can't cut it.
We've seen it on and off, these builds existing. I want to point out Sh4dowmoon really taking his time there. I like to see it. Yeah. That just shows confidence. He's not in any rush, despite the fact he's on stream. He's sitting there. He didn't make the Phantom Freebooter play. He went with a slightly more complicated one, but the one that granted him a better board, and actually used up more cards in his hand, meaning that Divine Favor wasn't quite as good.
Yeah, it shows maturity as well. I know we've talked about his age a lot. Don't want to keep talking about that because he's obviously just a great player, whatever his age. But it does sometimes, in younger players, a mistake they make is play too quickly first time on that big stage. It happens in older players as well, trust me, but... He
just took a really deep breath there.
Yeah.
Like, he only like panted like, phew, okay. But Chrisleblanc playing Atarium, conceding. Sh4dowmoon goes 2-1 up. Okay, this is just so exciting to see.
Yeah. Looking a little bit tense now. He's getting close to the finishing line, but nowhere near relevant. And again, Chris, he sort of snuck through at Atlanta. He actually wasn't on stream that much himself, despite winning the Swiss.
No.
The policy is often, we're going to see these guys in the top 16 anyway, so you don't show the top of the Swiss. For those of you home wondering why that is, if you're looking at the top of the Swiss saying, why aren't those guys being shown? They're not playing elimination matches. They can still be shown later. So Chris kind of went through a little bit unheralded. He did play 1 or 2 matches on stream. And so he's not completely 100% like, despite winning the Swiss last time, he's not exactly totally settled himself yet. But he looks absolutely fine, I mean.
Yep. The pressure is on, and it's not just a case of win and in here. It pretty much is almost lose and out.
Yes.
But if they win this series, they actually need to then go on and win in the next round of the Swiss as well, or they might still be out of the tournament. So it's still a long way to go, but Sh4dowmoon is getting close to winning money, and this really would be his name, I think, remembered in terms of Hearthstone just because of his age. And as you said, we shouldn't focus too much on that, but it is a factor, and it's something that just makes him seem even more impressive.
Yeah, I think William was 14 or 15 when he reached the top 16 in DreamHack Winter as well. He's 15 now, and obviously we know about Amnesiac and George C. Also, were 15 when they made their marks, I believe, in general.
Yep.
So, but 13 is a big difference.
Right.
So it's definitely worth mentioning, but it's not worth harboring on about. Meanwhile, it's Priest time. The match is not over until your Priest is lost. It's not over until they've all lost, but Priest is kind of the one that just seems to be changing games around over and over again.
It's possible that we end up with a Priest mirror moving forwards to end this series.
And then we know that anything can happen at that point.
That being said, Chrisleblanc has no spells in his hand. He has Kazakus. That's obviously very, very helpful. Burgly Bully, we haven't seen much of.
Yeah, Burgly Bully seems to be in that build that plays Mukla and goes a bit more all in on just doing huge amounts of damage in one turn. And you're right. I think I've seen it. I think I've actually seen it twice, which has surprised me. I didn't expect to see so much of that.
Right. The banana build.
Banana build.
So it's turn 5, and Sh4dowmoon has the ability to play an 8-8, whilst also clearing the board. What is he afraid of if he does that? Polymorph from the potion is something he'll be thinking about. Yeah, he did. Chrisleblanc did take Polymorph.
Yeah, also damage plus damage is the other one that sometimes does that.
Yeah.
The AoE plus the spot damage.
As it happens here, Chrisleblanc is able to use the damage to kill one minion, and then the Polymorph automatically clears the other one. So he's going to be quite comfortable clearing up this whole board.
Yeah, he's going to get rid of this board pretty quickly, and still on 20, whatever that number is, 3. So, or even 5.
It's 5, yeah.
The knowledge is a bit further away today, let me off.
I know.
And plenty of health and plenty of removal.
Having to make the inefficient trade just to guarantee that the Polymorph hits the right minion. Obviously, he could have did the 5 damage against the Taunt, but then the Polymorph may have hit the Blood Cell Raider. But that was a very quick turn from Chrisleblanc. Maybe he's realized that Sh4dowmoon is playing very, very slowly, and he's thinking, right, I want to play my turns as quickly as possible. Let's speed him up. Yeah,
or maybe he's nervous himself. Like I say, we've concentrated on Sh4dowmoon, but maybe Chris is feeling it and he's playing a bit too quick.
You're right.
At the moment, maybe he just feels he's in control of this. He's been in this position a lot of times. He knows exactly what needs to be done is a most likely option.
But Sh4dowmoon has managed to get the board right back. Never mind.
We've already got the sheeps, yeah.
Sorry.
And that is not quite the end just because there is no minion presence. You haven't stabilized until you have something on the board and got rid of your opponent's board, because otherwise this can happen and now you're sort of back where you were, but it's right on the edge of stabilizing now.
Fortunately, not the worst draw in this situation. Arcanite Reaper, arguably the best draw that he could have had. But Priest of the Feast now, as long as Chrisleblanc can keep getting spells, just means he never dies. Sh4dowmoon's reaction to the Priest of the Feast coming down shows that he feels this game is almost over.
Second Heroic Strike, maybe an Arcanite Reaper. Those are the cards he urgently needs just to try and set up this Leroy for enough.
Second corner lead's not bad, actually.
So the option to push 8, 12. He's got enough to set things up.
I think you just do it. I think you have to.
Hope there's no spell. From where he sat, there are 5 spells in Chrisleblanc's hand.
Of course there is.
From where we're sat, actually, you've got to go face and hope.
That's the big question that Sh4dowmoon is having to weigh up right now. Do you deal with the Priest of the Feast? Do you prevent all of the future healing? Can you afford to put 6 damage into this minion? Looks like he's going with no.
He is indeed going with no.
Considering the Leroy as well as the Heroic Strike there.
Leroy uses his mana slightly more efficiently for other top decks.
He's clearing it.
Okay.
Not only that, but he's using up a lot more damage than 6 to get rid of it.
So he feels that he can get there next turn with a top deck. Maybe...
Oh, boy. Okay, well, Glass in the Suze ends the game, right?
As it happens, there's still not a spell in Chrisleblanc's hand. It would have been really hard work for Chris to clear it all up. I think maybe Sh4dowmoon would have got there, you know, if he'd just gone all face.
I agree.
Because
again, it's impossible for him to know that there were no spells in the hand.
Right, it's such a hard call to make. How often does Priest have no spells in hand?
But now, because of the situation we're in now, weapons, it would have to be 2 swings with the Arcanite Reaper, if not more. Gluttonous Ooze would just shut him down, and that's even if he draws the Arcanite Reaper. Looks like Chrisleblanc is going to tie up the series, and we are going right the way to game number 5.
Priest mirror, it looks like. There's that Dan calling everything early again. But it is looking pretty good for Chris. Still no spells.
He's got Shadow Reaper Anduin if he's desperate for a heal, though that means that he loses all future healing.
Right, I don't think you can afford to personally just yet. Just wondering if Sh4dowmoon would have got there. I feel like he would. If he'd just gone face that time. Again, you can't say that is an error as such, I don't think, because the chance of your opponent having like no spells at all is just insanely low there. Especially when Chris has kept cards in hand like Loot Hoarder, the cards that you're thinking, oh, that might have been played by now. You're going through your head what cards are left, and a lot of them are spells.
That's a spell.
That is indeed a spell, and it spells a lot of damage for Sh4dowmoon. Is he going to tank this? Might as well, I guess. Stops any pirate synergy from occurring.
What is Sh4dowmoon hoping for?
Arcanite Reaper. Didn't get it.
It's funny that I'm surprised that Chrisleblanc put himself in that position.
Right.
That's so unfortunate for Sh4dowmoon. You're right. Arcanite Reaper would have just done it.
And what card did he think was in Sh4dowmoon's hand? There's almost no card there that could be in Sh4dowmoon's hand apart from Leroy. Maybe he thinks he's holding back a South Sea deck hand. That's something that people do in that situation, trying to get a little bit more synergy with their weapons, etc. But it is interesting there that went down to 11. Yes, Sh4dowmoon had a chance to just win the series.
That was Sh4dowmoon's turn. It was the one turn where him drawing Arcanite Reaper would have just won the game. Unfortunately, because the Gluttonous Ooze is there, drawing it next turn is just too late. But yeah, he knew what he needed. It didn't come.
And now the end is coming pretty quickly. Still no real big healing coming up for Chris. Still feel that, yeah.
Oh, no!
Oh. But is it enough? He can still get there over 2 turns.
Gluttonous Ooze is in the hand. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Oh, man. I feel, oh, God. My emotions.
This is where Sh4dowmoon is showing some inexperience because these players are sat opposite each other as well.
That's true. That's true.
Like last turn, I mean, Chris was always going to heal again, but he alerted Chris the fact he had an out, for instance, which may have given away his hand.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah,
is stuff that you learn through experience on the big stage not to do.
Oh, man, my emotions.
Your feels, man.
I can't even. The Arcanite Reaper came 1 turn too late. We've all been there. We've all been there. But personally, I haven't been there in a game that important.
Right, and you're clearly completely and utterly invested in this as well.
I'm very invested in this.
Dan's like Bible thumping right now. Pretty hard. And we go to 2 games apiece. It's going to be one of those priest mirror things that we've seen 1 or 2 of over the course of this tournament.
I haven't seen any.
Let's see how this one goes down. Most of them have been pretty different to each other.
There have been some interesting ones.
All right, so assuming this is Kazakus Priest, I'm going to talk about it as if it is because it's like an 80% chance.
Of course, but only 80%, you're right.
We are seeing that Chris actually has gone with the more... There's a Black Knight chilling there. Pretty useless in the mirror. Chris has gone with the more banana build. The cheap spells kill you quickly mode. Whereas Sh4dowmoon we haven't seen yet. Now, Sh4dowmoon's got a more card draw build. I would make him favourite to get there much quicker than Chris, like 2 or 3 turns
He's
possibly.
also got the Cabal Talon Priest, though. That's a card that we don't see in every single deck.
Right.
So that does encourage a little bit of board presence. Whereas Muzzy's build was very much card draw dependent.
Yep.
Novus Engineer, Nomish Inventor, Experimenter, whichever one it is, the 4-mana.
And I actually really like that particular build for this tournament.
And the Mind Blast as well, like a very clear strategy. This looks like they're both more board-centric, slightly, though we've still seen very little of Sh4dowmoon's deck.
See how he goes. He's going to just play this. Try and get that early card advantage from the Northshire.
Huh. Okay, Chrisleblanc had the opportunity for some real tempo there by dropping Radiant Elemental. Going to actually play the Holy Smite. He does want to keep Sh4dowmoon off the board, but he's not shown any real urge to get onto the board himself.
There's a card I'm surprised we do not see more of. Acidic Swamp Ooze.
Oh yeah, that's slightly different ooze, yeah.
Just because there are a very few 2-drops in this deck, thanks to the fact it's a Highlander deck and Priest only possesses 1 good 2-drop, that's Radiant Elemental in the whole of the world.
Yeah.
And although it's nowhere near as good at ooze at taking out Arcanite Reapers, it is so good against War Axes. You actually occupy the board and kill the War Axe. A lot of people said that ooze, the second ooze wasn't going to be that good when it was first printed because it's a turn 3, it's just not worth it for the 3/3 body.
Yep.
That has since proved to be wrong. But this is why you've got cards like Acidic Swamp Ooze that can occupy the board early on and just take down a minion as well as the weapon.
In many cases, the fact that you just get so much healing from the Gluttonous Ooze makes it worthwhile.
But then if you've saved the board in the first place with the Acidic Swamp Ooze, there is an argument that maybe you've saved that much healing before you even needed to.
Look at Sh4dowmoon abusing Chrisleblanc's cards for card draw now. The Acolyte of Pain gets to bounce off and then survive and then hit the face again. Stole the Thanos and took that card draw as well.
That second explosion on Spirit Lash gets me every time.
Yeah.
I always think, what have I done? Why has he gone off again? This isn't Defile. So Sh4dowmoon is nearer to the combo than Chris, plus he actually started with a piece in his hand, which of course is vital. Can he translate that into the second part? And this is where this particular build is a bit weird for me. You are playing suboptimal cards in your deck to have a much faster combo much later on. Also, Chris played the Radiant Elemental. Did he need to?
Well, I thought if he was going to play it, he should have played it one turn earlier. Because he had just as good an opening to play it then, and he didn't.
How good would it be next turn with Lyra?
Of course. It's like, if he didn't play it the earlier one, I don't understand why he played it the following turn. That's like an inconsistent strategy. What I will say about Mukla is that there aren't actually many big minions in these priest decks.
Right.
There's Raza, there's Velen. At least, it is just a 5/5, but at least it's just one more threat as well. And obviously, we don't need to talk about why the bananas are good.
Yeah, exactly. They're even better though if you've got like a Radiant Elemental in your hand. Anyway, that aside, Chris has got more immediate problems that are nothing to do with having Mukla in his deck, assuming it's pretty much a straight swap for Elise. He's just not getting near the combo right now. Meanwhile, Sh4dowmoon found one piece automatically, and he's dug a little bit deeper through that deck. Sh4dowmoon going to get a bit of board presence. We've seen time and time again the board presence isn't that relevant, but it still does mean one way that it is relevant is you're not going to kill your opponent with it, but you might burn some cards out of their hand, which means if they get the combo before you get the combo, they don't necessarily kill you and you get some time extra.
Black Knight is not a card we see that often in these Highlander priests,
Really is not. No, Black Knight was a card that was used a lot at the start of the meta when Lich King was a thing. It was a point when everyone thought Lich King was going to be the best card ever. It was going to be the new Dr. Boom. It was in every single deck, so everyone put the Black Knight in every single deck. But I've not seen a Black Knight for a long time, but it's nice against Paladin. And sometimes your one or two tech choices come down to your own personal experience.
Yep.
Have you lost a Paladin 15 times this week? Play Black Knight.
Potion of Madness, sure, why not? Let's just keep generating Lyra spells. Embrace Darkness is a card I don't think I've seen at all in this tournament, not even from Lyra. But one that, it's not really that relevant against Kazakus Priest, again, because of its lack of big threats. Gaining control of a Prophet Velen the turn after it kills you is no good.
Indeed it is not.
It would be 2 turns after it's killed you, actually.
Yeah, that's a long time after you die.
Yeah.
I think it's a card that people can investigate further still. It's very, very slow and awful, but it's pretty good at stealing cards with static effects. It's pretty good at stealing Lyras.
I was wondering if this was Pint-Sized Potion of Madness, just to play 2 spells to get Lyra and then play the banana and see if you can keep going, but this is Chrisleblanc just going to fill up his hand with spells?
Yeah,
Maybe?
I feel like that's part of the point, so you might as well. I don't know what you do with the Holy Smite. You might just want to keep that, though.
Oh, my God.
Oh, wow. Interesting goes with the Holy Smite bar and the banana.
He wants to kill the Lyra. He can't let the Lyra live and then go off for Sh4dowmoon again next turn. That's the problem.
That's what he does. Purify coming too late. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Just purify their Lyra.
It would have been,
Thanks for the cards. But, yep, getting rid of it. And he's got enough cheap card makers. There'll be a Burgly Bully hiding in here somewhere, which Priest does not like facing.
Okay, Sh4dowmoon looked like he was about to try and embrace Darkness on Lyra. I wouldn't want to give Chrisleblanc an extra turn to go off, though. Maybe he could embrace Darkness the 4/4, take control of that next turn, and Shadow would pain Lyra. Maybe that's what he was actually thinking about doing.
I don't know, it's not, I mean, you've just seen Chris clear your Lyra in a really convoluted fashion. I can see why you'd at least consider it, but no. Let's just get rid of that and move on with our lives. And he is going to go with the more sensible looking play.
By the time you've given Lyra a whole extra turn without having to spend the mana to play Lyra in the first place, Lyra probably generates a way of clearing a card or 2 in the next turn.
Silence herself at the end as well, and that's usually the end of that.
Yep.
So Chris is winning this battle for the board slowly but surely, but the board is not really that relevant in the matchup unless somebody just storms ahead, which they have not.
Okay, Chrisleblanc just trying to get through his deck and actually purify his own Priest of the Feast to draw an extra card. Devour Mind, by the way, coming from Lyra, is actually hugely relevant. This could pick up Raza. It did not pick up Raza. Never mind. I swear, all of the Thought Steals and Devour Minds have been really disappointing today. Every time it's been like, it could actually get the card that wins the game, and nope, it didn't. Never mind. Okay.
Sad times.
Yeah, carry on.
So Sh4dowmoon, his hand, he's not dug that deep after that initial, what looked like a really fast start, getting the dig with the Acolyte of Pain, and has not managed to pick anything useful. There's another tech card in the crawler. I'm starting to wonder what he's actually dropped. Looks like he hasn't got the cycle package. And all he can do really is sit and wait to some degree, apart from the small game of minion trading that is going on that is just not getting anywhere for either player because the minions are so equally matched. Because they're not built for fighting these guys.
No, this matchup just isn't about minion trading in the end. They can do it. You can use Kazakus specifically to create a big board on turn 5 and just start beating your opponent down.
Yeah, we saw Dr. J do something along those lines. That wasn't the mirror, but with the deck.
Yeah,
it
similar
shows
enough.
You can get into it, yeah.
Ah, there's Raza.
There's Raza, finally.
So both players, once again, 50% of the way there. Chrisleblanc needs to pick up Anduin. Sh4dowmoon needs to pick up Raza.
Lot more fuel now for Chrisleblanc, though. And the fuel ultimately is what will win or lose this game, assuming they draw into it about the same time. Otherwise, it's just not relevant. Otherwise, whoever draws it 5 turns before the other guy wins the game. But Raza now does give that strategical advantage to Chrisleblanc for the next few turns. He may be able to make Sh4dowmoon spend less time on digging and more time on messing around dealing with this board, just because he's going to have this ongoing heal.
Just noticed both players wearing DreamHack hoodie there.
Yep, good for them.
Nice to see.
Team DreamHack.
As Shadow Reaper Anduin comes down, and Sh4dowmoon's Shadow Reaper Anduin going to be able to start pinging Chrisleblanc in the face, just not for free.
What if he's got Moonfire in his Druid deck as well? So he's got all the shadows on the moons covered.
That would be nice. That'd be pretty strong, actually.
No one's ever going to know. I mean, you could just submit a Druid deck with 30 random cards in it, and no one's going to play against you anyway. Until the top 16 when it gets revealed, and all the people who banned it went, oh.
Yeah, or until
what a troll that would be.
Or until you queue up against Tars.
Somebody turn up to one of these tournaments and just submit an auto-complete Druid and get to the top 16. Go home in top 16 only. I want to do that now.
All right. Radiant Elemental, Sh4dowmoon's got in his hand. Now, Lyra gone, so not too many ways he can take advantage of this. Sh4dowmoon's hand is just looking a little bit lackluster.
Yeah, it looks sort of sad and lonely for some terms now, and not drawn a single card draw for what feels like forever. And meanwhile, Chrisleblanc's hand has felt a little bit more synergetic throughout this whole game.
Yep.
He's been doing bits and pieces. I still feel that I'd like him not to have got rid of the Radiance so early, but maybe that was correct. And Sh4dowmoon's just struggling now to really get a plan together. But he is getting the shooty guys going off.
Yeah, and the thing is, Chrisleblanc's... never mind. I was going to say Chrisleblanc's hand is going to get smaller as it takes Sh4dowmoon less resources to deal with Chrisleblanc's things because he's got the new hero power, but that draw changes things. Now, Chrisleblanc has Raza used, Shadow Reaper Anduin coming down. He is going to start machine gunning Sh4dowmoon.
Yeah. Take aim, point, face, shoot, 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 shoot.
Time is running out now for Sh4dowmoon. He needs to pick up Anduin right now.
And the shooting begins of the face. And this deck is built for when you get to this situation to get it over with quicker than most. It doesn't necessarily get here as quickly as some, but when it gets here with the Mooklers, with Burgley Bullies, those sort of cards, just cheaper build in general. Velen in hand, this could be over very rapidly indeed. The Greater Healing Potion will delay at least one turn, of course.
Yep.
And there's certainly ways back here for Sh4dowmoon, but Chris is in the box seat right now.
Yeah, Chris is able to just Dragonfire Potion down this board, or Pint-Sized Potion, Shadow Word Horror, fit in a bunch of pings in as well. He's got Velen with the banana. He's even got Burgly Bully in hand, ready to generate even more machine gun bullets.
Yeah, and one thing that Priest can't do is deal with the Burgly Bully very well at all without giving them the coins.
Yep.
4-6, we've already know the memes, but on top of that, you've got to use something to get rid of it.
This game is looking like it's pretty over to me.
Yeah, it's looking very close to being over to me too. We haven't seen all Shadow Moon's tech yet. Maybe he's got something lined up for this situation, but I have no idea what it would be.
It's not going to do it. If there was a pint-sized potion, maybe pint-sized potion into Cabal Shadow Priest would make some sort of a difference. Chrisleblanc's hand is looking a little bit small still. But unfortunately, Cabal Shadow Priest on its own not going to do anything.
Right, Burgly Bully's just going to hit you in the face for 4 turn if you're not going to kill it. Yeah. That's fine as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, killing it seems good, but Velen is looking terrifying now.
Yeah, Velen with coins. So 11 mana available next turn. Not quite there. I think
it's 19, yeah. It's close.
This is where it all goes quiet. Well, I just make sure I can count. Yeah, I thought maybe he'd play the Cabal this turn just to put down the attack and then just try and win with Velen next turn, but it's going to work. This is fine.
Well, Death does get rid of this. Greater Healing Potion does put Shadow Moon up a little bit more. If he drew Andu in there, maybe that would have been a nice play, but Chrisleblanc is almost out of cards, in his hand at least.
Yeah.
And that is something that might make a difference.
Yeah, by playing the Velen earlier, you don't get any extra damage done if your opponent does have the Death. And by holding on to it, you can just get damage through with Cabal, which is an expensive card, 6 mana card. Just get it over with whilst you're waiting to draw into your cheaper stuff. So if Chris does go on to lose this, he probably has missed 4 damage because of that Velen play.
The problem is time is running out for Shadow Moon, and Chris still has 11 cards left in his deck. A lot of it will be card draw cycle, and that kind of thing will just end Shadow Moon if he starts drawing cards like Novice Engineer now.
But he may have his own Velen, of course, which could change things in a hurry.
Velen to heal back up would be great if he could Velen and it survived in the Greater Healing Potion, but Shadow Moon just doesn't have the time to wait. He has to play it now. Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, Glimmerhood, obviously a great card in this spot, especially when you see the entire deck. I was just wondering what was going to happen.
Oh, it's the Shadow Visions as well.
Yeah. Get a card for your opponent's deck that gives you a card from your own deck that you want of your choice. Seems good.
And deal 2 damage for every single one that you play.
Whatever that is, he liked it.
It's Kazakas, I think. I saw 3 attack and I saw an instant drop. So, but now he needs to work out exactly what he wants to do here. It's going to be, it's going to be the 5 mana potion, I'm almost certain.
Yeah, I feel like he wants to go with that. Summon 2 friendly minions. Try and get yourself some card draw. Try and get yourself some stuff.
Armor's not bad.
Armor delays things at least a little while, so maybe he can get that to work. He does still need to get rid of this board while he's at it as well.
There's only so many things that this Kazakas potion can do at once.
Yeah, there really is. And it's getting overloaded right now. He's going to have to just use it for the damage. That's what he's taken, just to deal with the Cabal. Not ideal in the slightest.
Let's see what minions get re-summoned. It's going to be Blood Mage Thanos, so at least that is some card draw. But Chrisleblanc can deal so much damage this turn. It might even be lethal if he's still got a Holy Smite or something in his deck.
I feel like he has as well. He could just draw into it.
Lash, okay. So it's not quite going to do it.
Is it not?
It's 2 off.
2 off lethal. Clears up the board. No healing left for Shadow Moon. Most likely, can he pick something up? We know he's used the greater heal. He's got to do loads of damage if he's going to win the game at this spot. And it looks like it's all over
You start
for
by,
Sh4dowmoon.
You play the loot hoarder, you ping it, you see what you get. Maybe you can spirit lash your way back into the game. Oh, this works too in the same way. Nope, nope, nope.
How does he even get out of it? I can't think of any combination of stuff that really works. Might as well shoot your own loot hoarder if you're not sure. But seems like it's all over.
Now, just remember, this guy was one Arcanite Reaper draw too late in the last game to just win the series outright then. So this must feel very disappointing. As I said, we've all been there. Chrisleblanc takes the series. He moves on. He's going to be 6-2 in the Swiss. That was a very intense set of Hearthstone matches.
Chrisleblanc one game away from reaching his second consecutive top 16. Same boat as Dr. J.
Sh4dowmoon is not out of it entirely yet. Depending on how his tiebreakers are looking, 6 and 3s can make it into the top 16. So he's still going to want to play this out. If he wins his next series, then there is a chance that he can still make it through. Dr. J, of course, sitting at a 6-2 record after winning his last series on stream. So now he's just one more win and in. That's the position that a lot of these players are at. 6 and 2s are all win and in. 5 and 3s are a little bit iffy right now. There's going to be some tiebreaker action going on there, so we're going to have to wait and see as the brackets update after our next round. But we are not done for you all yet. There are still some matches playing out. So we are actually going to be jumping into game number 5. It's going to be Tars versus RP Balance. And we saw Tars on stream in the first match of the day yesterday, and I believe he is the only one of the only ones, if not the only one, that we've seen on stream so far who has not banned Druid. He banned Warrior with the intention of targeting Druid and Priest. It did work for him on stream, but he's sitting at a 5-2 record now, so he is sort of back against the wall. So we're gonna go ahead and get into that game. Tars versus RP Balance game number 5. Tars on the Paladin and RP Balance on the Priest.
All right, Tars versus